I think the best question they can ask a patient is, how do you feel? Regardless of the blood work, how do you feel? And also, yes, what is going on in your life? If they see something's off with the blood work, or if the person says they're not feeling well and the blood work doesn't seem to reflect that, then you have to dig deeper and figure out what's going on in your life. What's your lifestyle like? Are you getting enough sleep? I mean, that's another very important aspect. So,
I'm a big believer in symptom surveys. Matter of fact, if you go to our YouTube, I've got a video on it where I talk about symptom surveys and how they are the difference between a good clinic and a fantastic clinic. Because asking somebody, how are you doing? Right? They're going to answer that question how they're doing right now. If I'm let's say I'm a pellet patient and I see my provider every 90 days, there's a lot of things I could have felt over the last 90 days that have nothing to do with how I feel today. And so that is where the real meat is what's going on in between appointments. So when you do symptom surveys and you ask the patient over the course of the last, since I've seen you last, give a rating 1 through 5 of each of these issues and how you generally felt throughout the last 90 days. Then if you track those symptom survey results at every appointment, you can see trends up and down. Those trends could just be age related. They could be, you got a bad batch of something from the compound pharmacy.
right,
It
that
could
happens.
be, right?
Yeah.
You always show up in December and you lost a parent in December. And it's the holidays. And so you feel really stressed. Like there's trends that the provider can see that if they're not having the patient fill it out, they're not tracking it. And I don't mean just like scanning it and putting it into their chart because then you got to go dig for it. But like make a spreadsheet, put all the
Yeah.
values so you can see a line graph. I think that is probably one of the best ways a practitioner can understand what's the patient's going.
Oh my God, I love that. Now, this is a podcast episode you did, you said?
No,
Or
it's just a video I made.
a video?
Yeah,
Okay.
we use symptom surveys in our clinic. We always promote using symptom surveys to other clinics. What I see though, most providers use them, but they just use them. They look at it and they throw it out, or they scan it and they put it in the chart, and that's not trackable. And so the information is gone as quickly as it was received. But just like you would want to track somebody's lab values over time if you're seeing how medication is progressing, the same thing with symptom surveys, because as you mentioned, like the labs don't tell the whole story. It's what you're dealing with that's telling the story.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I guess I'm a geek when it comes to this kind of stuff because I do keep a binder every year. I
Oh,
have
I'm sure
all of
you
my
do.
lab work and I can see patterns, and I will actually inform whoever I'm working with too. And and I'll say, listen, I see that this trend, like I do that for myself. I know I'm kind of but I
No,
think
that's fantastic. You have to do that.
yes,
That's great.
you really do. And so yeah, and I actually have an appointment coming up next week actually. And I love, and I do love now like these online labs. Like I personally use Ulta Labs. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just so great that you as a patient can now like log in and see your own results. I mean, my dad was a general and vascular surgeon, and he had private practice back then, which is like unheard of today, unfortunately. But we didn't have like you didn't have access to your own labs, and none of his patients did, or I certainly didn't even. I don't know up until I started getting into functional medicine. I don't even remember. It's probably been several years now, but I love that people have the ability now to see their blood work or order their own labs.
They do.
If
Do, but
you're
if you're paying thousands of dollars every year to a provider, you owe it to your patient to know more than they do. Like, I think that it's wonderful that you and I know and I have several friends that are really, really on top of their own medical care, but that is not the norm. The norm is I have too many portals. I don't know where to get all my information. I don't even know what dosages I'm on because it's all over the place. I don't know how to get into my portal, like all these excuses. So it is the clinician's responsibility as a cash pay provider to be above and beyond for their patient and know this information and not rely on the patient telling them. That's something that's a little bit of a frustration for me when I hear a provider say, well, they didn't tell me. Well, you didn't ask. Like it really is on the provider to ask and keep track. And
Well, and there is no excuse in a cash pay system like that because you're not dealing with insurance companies. You don't have the hassle of trying to get reimbursement or somebody on the
there's
phone
so
all
many
day long.
tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Another